Hey, so today we're going to be doing some parabolas. This will normally be a topic that you'll take in the first quarter of M5 maths. It's important that you get a good grip because it's related to a lot of other topics. So with your basic parabola, you have the y equals x squared, which means your y coordinate is equal to your x coordinate squared. So if we were at the basic coordinates for the just the basic parabola y equals x squared, it looks like this. 2, 4 and negative 2, 4. So hopefully you know that the x coordinate always comes first. So on the left side here we have all our x coordinates. On the right side here we have all our y coordinates. So we can see if these coordinates are correct by putting them into the equation. So if we say our y coordinate is equal to our x coordinate squared, we look first at our origin point, which is 0, 0. Okay, so our y coordinate is 0 and our x coordinate is also 0. So here we have y equals 0 squared. Does that work? Well, 0 squared is 0 times 0, and 0 times 0 is 0. So that's right, we can say 0 equals 0. So next we have what the point 1, 1. So we say here 1, our y point, is equal to our x point, 1 squared. Well, is that right? Let's see. 1 times 1 is 1, so that gives us 1 equals 1, which is right. Next we have our x coordinate, negative 1. So our y coordinate 1 equals our x coordinate, negative 1 squared. So we have to remember that whenever you square a negative number, you get a positive number, right? So here we have 1 equals negative 1 squared, which is equivalent to 1 over negative 1 squared, which is equal to 1 times 1. You don't really have to understand that, but you just have to know that if you square a negative number, it becomes positive. So effectively, if you square a negative number, we'll just do it over here. So if you square a negative number like this, you might as well just take away the negative and then leave it as 1 squared, which is 1 times 1. So here we have 1 equals 1, which is again right. So later on, or higher up in the graph even, our points are our x coordinate, our y coordinate is 4, and our x coordinate is 2. So that leaves 4 equals 2 squared. Again, 2 squared is equal to 2 times 2, which is 4. So we have 4 equals 4, which is right. And then we have 4 as our y coordinate for our last point, and x is negative 2 squared. Again, you have to remember, whenever you square a negative, it just becomes positive. So negative 2 squared is really the same as saying 2 squared, which is 4. So there we can see that we've got all these points from the y equals x squared equation of a parabola. So if we were to draw these points on this graph, well, we have that 0, 0 point here, we have the point 1, 1, and then we have the point 2, 4. On the other side, we have the point negative 1, 1, and the point negative 2, 4. This is just a rough graph. I didn't use a ruler or anything. If you want to do a test on parabolas, you should really use a ruler, because otherwise you can get marks. You can lose marks for accuracy. So if we were to label these points, it would be 2, 4. Here we have 1, 1. Here we have negative 1, 1. And here we have negative 2, 4. With our origin point 0, 0 in the middle. So as you progress kind of into the parabola unit, you'll learn about transformations. Transformations are when you take the y equals x squared and you add another variable onto it. So if we take a very simple example of this, y equals x squared plus 1. So some of you may be able to see how that would affect our coordinates. So what we're saying here is the y coordinate is now equal to the x coordinate squared plus 1. So if our x coordinate, y equals, let's take a basic x coordinate first. So let's take the x coordinate 0. So y equals 0 squared plus 1. So if our x-coordinate is 0, then our y-coordinate is equal to 0 squared plus 1. So 0 squared is 0. However, 0 plus 1 is 1. So that means our y-coordinate is now equal to 1 instead of 0. Which leaves us with the point 0, 1. Instead of our whole point 0, 0. So the transformation for us here was 0, 0 to 0, 1. So when you have this additional 1 added here, it means that this is affecting the x-coordinate. And sorry, this is affecting the y-coordinate. The x-coordinate remains the same. The x-coordinate is just part of this equation to help you find the y-coordinate. So the y-coordinate is the thing that you're finding, right? So we can do another coordinate with this transformation. Let's do the x point -2. Let's try the x point -2. So that would leave us with y equals -2, remember the brackets, squared plus 1. So you could try this on your own, but basically you can pause the video whenever you like. I don't really say it because I think it's pointless, but you can obviously pause the video whenever you like. So that would leave us with -2 squared. Remember, we've done this. So if you square a negative, becomes it's the same as doing the positive number, the positive integers squared. Integer is another word for number. So that would leave us with y equals -2 squared, 4 plus 1. So y equals 5. So that leaves us with a point -2, 5 instead of our old point -2, 4. So that was our transformation from -2, 4 to -2, 5 because of the plus 1 on the x squared on the original equation. So we can move on and do some more. So if we were to do a slightly larger transformation, let's say y equals x squared. I'm just going to do it over here, just ignore this bit. So y equals x squared plus 12. So again, it's fairly simple. So if we take the x coordinate 0, we can start with 0 again. So here in this equation we would say x is equal to 0. So that leaves us with y 0 squared, y equals 0 squared plus 12, which leaves us with y equals 12, which gives us the point 0, 12 instead of 0, 0. So that's our transformation. If we do another point with this transformation, so let's say with the x coordinate 4 or -2, actually let's do +2, so we'll do -2. -2 squared plus 12. So -2 squared, again we're doing it again, equals to +4 plus 12. So that means that y equals 60. And because our x-coordinate equaled to -2, that leaves us with the coordinates -2, 16. So that was our transformation from -2, 4 to -2, 16. And that's because of the additional